writing my feelings in the book in ASM.
I was just like, I was more
You look very confused.
No, I was also just captivated by the fact that you're doing ASL and Melody, and supposed to be sitting there. I was like, but is he not supposed to say through my response? What's happening?
No, I was practicing, trying to practice.
I was really confused. It was like such a basic response to it. Like, oh, I just remade like that.
Can we do it again?
You look amazing, by the way. I love your makeup, your hat, your hair. You look gorgeous.
I have some bucket house, by the way. Oh, they're really
Oh, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Ta-da.
That's gorgeous.
I know. I'm obsessed with it. I gotta get it resized because I lost like 10 pounds, and so I have one of those rain snuggies. I gotta get it resized, but
That's amazing.
Check. Okay.
yeah.
Hey, my name is Anthea Coomer. I'm a poet and a musician from town. We have some poets from New York who came a long way to share some beautiful work with us tonight. So that's what we're gonna do on this side of the bar. Before we start though, I'd like us to take a moment to reflect on the fact that we're currently on stolen land. Indigenous peoples of this region, namely the Cherokee, Shawnee, and Chickasaw. Alright. This is a safe space for poetic expression. This isn't a place for bigotry of any kind. There will be no jeering or heckling. We are a supportive community. We're here because we believe in the power of the word. Let's help elevate not only our own, and though we don't believe in censorship, content warnings for especially sensitive material are appreciated but not mandated. So there's that. And before we start with the features, I'm going to start with a sonnet I've been working on. This one's called 3 Chords and the Truth. We used to count the hours and paid our dues in blood and 3 chord and the truth songs, hollering at the blind raging sun, poking our tongues at solar flares. We found the bear and prodded it awake with a hot brand, let it come to its full height before we knew we were wrong. But that's how you get there, wrong. That's how we always get there. Right where you left it, a motel devil with open arms, some backwater galaxy where we must smoke in our beds, this backed up drain of a black hole where we gargle wet hair and get stretched like cheap taffy by greedy gravity, popped like a pimple into the open maw of nothing. The simple melody of our existence lost in the static, something complicated, dumbed down to blank cacophony. These days we harmonize with the quick wind of the bear's claws. All right. Thank you. Next, we got our first feature of the night is Meghan D. Coates. I'm gonna read this bio here for y'all. Meghan D. Coates is a queer disabled poet, novelist, actor, and illustrator born and raised in the South Tier. She's had several poems published in small publications such as Wax Poetry and the Tanka Journal, and is currently working with Anthea Snow Mathews on a poetry collection entitled Eucharist to be released next November. She is the author of the children's book Barney Caterpillar. She attended school for film acting and later received a bachelor's in creative writing. Heavily influenced by her marginalizations, lower class upbringing, and a deep love for humanity, Meghan's work tends towards themes of identity, anti-authoritarianism, anti-bigotry, and rebellion in the face of injustice. She takes particular inspiration from E.E. Cummings, Nikita Gill, and Robert Frost. Solid list, by the way. She does not shy away from the darkness of humanity, nor does she eschew the light. Sometimes the best rebellion is one fought with celebration, so Meghan's arms are now open wide to embrace intersectional queer joy when it's needed most. Everybody, Meghan D. Coates.
Sorry about him, it's his first performance. This first poem is from one of our artists that couldn't be here, published in the Lavender Hour review, Linda M. Crate. My pride can be defiance. My pride sometimes comes as defiance. You better not be a lesbian. I'm not, but I'm also not straight. And if your line in the sand is who I love, then maybe you didn't love me as you ought to have. I am done swallowing myself down for the comfort of others. I am queer, and I am here. Don't like it? Well, ignore it like you do genocide, poverty, war, and politics.
He's like, hand me the mic.
Sorry. The rest are mine. No justifying destiny. There is no justifying what was done to your ancestors, now dancing in the auroras. No justifying the horrors of the blankets, the buffalo, the trail. There is no justifying either the brutal starvation of my own. I will not call my modern ease a silver lining. I will not say that there are silver linings. But I met you. My people indentured themselves to cross the waters, 3,000 miles. I exist because we fled. I exist because we went unfed. I exist because of all the dead. And so do you. No validation is owed to what happened back then, but I found you. In a sea of faces without voices, in a time of ice and pyres, I found you. I like to think that maybe I would have found you anyway, that we were destined to meet. There is a universe where, content in our ancestral homes, we seek out companionship, reach out across the ocean blue, perhaps in 2022, and discover something inescapable, the love I have for you. Plato can't have his name back, for this is bigger than the cave, and who needs shadows when we make our own fire? We will hide and tend the spark until we burn the bonds that hold us and step into the light of day, arms around each other's shoulders. There is no justifying what drove us to this moment. Ancestral pain, familial pain, systemic pain. But knowing you, amongst it all, is lessening my suffering. I'll spend a lifetime, if I'm lucky, kissing your hand but not your lips. Those belong to someone else, as do mine. And the compersion melts me like gallium in tea. There is a universe where there was never any genocide, where we stayed on our Atlantic side, where we never left the homes our ancestors supplied. A universe where culture never died, and still we met. I wished we lived there, but I will take the piece you gift me and give it back tenfold. It's not the sweet of hearts, but of diamonds that I hold.
Yeah, so cute.
Per breve dei Zodiaci. I want to be the kind of girl that can reach her hand across your chest, turning your face with gentle fingers, and kiss you so sweet and so soft that you have no idea where your breath even went by the time I pull away. I want to be the kind of person who can creep up from behind with such horror movie silence that when I spin you round to face me, you never see it coming. Never suspect for a moment that I'm about to pull you in until our heartbeats meet and the whole world melts away. There are nights when all I want is to push you up against the wall and spread the fire from my grassland lips to yours, ferocious but skillful, violently kind. I wish I could kiss you like I'd earned it, like the salvation of the world was hidden on your palate, all cracking rock and branching firestorm amidst the vibrating snowfall that surrounds us. I wish I could touch you without being afraid. Wish I could let you touch me without reservation. No fears, no blushing insecurities, no memories of voices put out to pasture. Unlike their faces lingering in the barn, unlike their names screaming from the sty, I wish that I could run my fingers along your lips, all up and down your legs, around your back in ellipses, squares, and spirograms, without an ounce of quavering hand or self-doubting mind, that I felt secure enough in myself to lavish you with all the attention and affection you deserve, that I felt worthy to ask for anything. In my head, I am a tornado of sound and emotion, but on the surface so still, like stagnant water long since dammed by vicious animals and careless vulture-eyed men. I am not the child who acts on every impulse or even speaks each thought stuck lengthwise in their throat. The girl that I wish that I could be is long since gone deceased. I am the poet who cannot put to words the things that roil in his gut. Tongue shorn clear away from lips. Vocal cords knotted up like cherry stems in a raunchy barfly's mouth. I am the timid librarian, buried eyebrow deep in Harlequin romance novels galore, oblivious to the real-life advances of the bookworm down the aisle, except not really, not oblivious. Really, more like disbelieving, confused. I'm the valedictorian sans social life, the daredevil with nothing left to leap except cracks in the sidewalk and the vastest gulfs of space. I'm not used to taking things slow. I tackle them whole hog from the start, all or nothing, win or lose, the horrible personality trait I excuse by writ of zodiac. And I'm not yet ready to go whole hog with you. Maybe that's part of why I'm having trouble just jumping the cracks. There will come a day when I will leap into your arms, a day when I will sweep you off your feet, a day when I will spin you till we're dizzy and all the stars crash down around us. And when that day comes, I will no longer be scared to take you by either cheek and show you just how violently my heart is beating beneath my tongue, just how violently the blood is pounding through my veins, liquored up with traces of your 180 proof breath and heroin skin as you stare down the eye of my hurricane brain. I need you to know these things, because these are things you deserve to know, things I need to rinse off my chest, but also things I can't quite say, vocally numb as I'm made by mental clogs I'm always snaking out to no avail, drains too narrow for anything once entered to ever make it out. And still, there's so much I can only dance around, too much that I can't put to text quite yet. So if you'll let me, I'll just throw one last penny in the fountain and wish I was not so shy. Pathetic. A holy trinity. In this moment, I am positive that there is something holy in the conjoining of three people. I may not yet be ready to receive, only to give. But in this moment, I am positive that theirs is a perfect way to live. I don't care that I'm not welcome beneath your steeple. In this moment, I am positive that there is something holy in the conjoining of three people.
His turn.
Elven Queen. Sweet elven queen of starlit wonders, pointy-eared and features fair, fills with odd silence the bewitching, beguiling, unworthy air. I have never seen you in the sunlight nor the darkness, but surely you must glow. A soft golden soul, I am so fortunate to know. Would that I could draw my thumb across your limned cheek and follow its path with gloaming mouth prints, aubergine and meek, leading to inviting lips, dressed in flawless plum chic. She makes my knocking knees go weak. One day I think with a sigh, it really could be you and I, frozen in time beneath a violet sky. Having captured my blessed queen's beautiful eye, I can't let it lie. So darling, this is what I want to do, to fill you with my wanton woo, to make you purr and hum and coo, to feel the length and breadth of you. Embracing the fallout. As the whole world falls apart, I am falling together and falling in love, falling in shape, falling in time, to the beat, beat thrum of my bass drum heart and the whoosh, whoosh whir of a lap harp tongue. I am falling together, coalescing from frictious fractals into a melodious, manifold whole, coming into my own and coming out, becoming new, becoming me, becoming we. I have been locked inside myself for an eternity, lifetime after lifetime of self-repression. And now at last I am unlocking my cage with a skeleton key, unlocking my cage with you and with me. Yes, the whole wide world is falling apart, but darling, you are setting me free.
Such a good dialogue.
All right, everybody, one more time for Meghan D. Coates. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna read you a short sonnet here. This one is called "On Getting Even." Medusa holds Perseus's head like a bowling ball. Her fangs slick fingers deep inside his broken bloody nose. Not yet gone, she lifts his eyes to hers and he ossifies. It's not hot triumph she feels, but a settling of scores. She knows she's lore, some hydra-headed whore full of terror, doomed by the crashing waves of Poseidon's terrible lust, burdened with a curse she didn't deserve, but who isn't? Wouldn't you carry this new talisman up the god stairs? Wouldn't you kick in the doors of the holy Parthenon? Wouldn't you sing with laughter at the shock stoning the gods? Athena, with her shield half risen, her perfect mouth owed. Best of all, how could you stop yourself? You showed Zeus his child. Wouldn't you hold your mouth open to catch the crashing sky? Next up, we got Anthea Snow Mathews, formerly T.S. Mathews. Snow is the author of Phrenology, that came out in 2023, and 4 chapbooks, including the collaborative Expresses, that was on OAC and Grindstone Presses. Completed on a 1886 Chandler and Price printing press, while done in residency at OAC in 2023. She was a founder and editor for the Grindstone Press and is currently on the staff of Black Noise magazine. Snow is the cover artist of 34 titles to date. She has an affinity for the road, coming from a deep love of working in collaborative environments. Mathews has traveled across the country to perform at bookstores, bars, festivals and bars, but while she most consistently finds herself at protests. Having cut her teeth as a journalist and medic at protests throughout 2020, she has aided in organizing in response to the onslaught of anti-queer legislation, performing poetry in front of state capitals across the Midwest and South. We did one up in Louisville and on the Jefferson steps. Yeah, it was fun. Her next book, The Collaborative Eucharist, written with our Meghan D. Coates, is due to drop from Hercules Press on November 1st of 2016. Everybody, it's Snow Mathews.
Hey, honey. That's okay, buddy. Hi, y'all. So,
We are actually, as Drew said, coming in from central New York. We left at 2 a.m. yesterday and we have been driving pretty heavy so far. We have another, 18 hours left heading down to Albuquerque. So this whole shebang is actually about a magazine project that we are running called the Lavender Hour Review. It is a nice feminist queer anthology trying to focus more on the intersections of radical joy and activism when facing all the bullshit that we constantly go through. And so what we're here to do is try and find a way to dance at the end of all the struggles. There's a great quote from Stonewall that we put at the front of our book, Pride Matters Every Day, that is that during the Stonewall riots and the revolutions that took place in that moment, that push for actual, equitable change among the people. So one of the reporters at the time stated that in the morning we bury our dead, in the afternoon we protest, and at night we dance. Most of us are so caught up in the burying of the dead and the actual protest. We're so caught up in trying to fight for something better that we lose track of what joy we have in our own lives, how we actually try to connect with the people around us, this community. Drew and I go way back. We haven't seen each other in years, but there's a community within literature, within arts. There's a traveling art form. Each one of us here today, between Maggie, between Taya, Flynn, Drew, and Matthew, all of us who have done this type of work in this community building, all we are doing is finding ways to draw community and to create an in-route for people to find out how to exist. And so I'm going to read a piece from one of our submitters, Trier Ward, who is actually based out of Albuquerque. We'll be seeing her down there while we're in the area. And she submitted quite a few pieces that are in the first issue. And one of my favorites of them is actually a piece, if I can divulge the word, called Wild Mountain Honey. You were sunflowers swaying in the wind. You were wild mountain honey smeared on my lips. You begged forgiveness for all the things we could not be to each other, and yet you showed up to be above and beyond what most friendship is. And yes, you and I got tattooed with that same dirty ink. You and I walked miles of Albuquerque streets. You and I tripped and flipped, whether we were wasted, broke, or swimming in cash. It was all the same. Adventure to two poetesses, to two badasses, and I won't regret a single moment of the dance. As I laid the sunflower along the busted sidewalk crack, and I think of the last time I held you close against me, and you were so thin yet so strong, and you made me feel so strong too. And I will always love you. Sunflower wild honey doesn't nymph my true friend. Daryl on a really great night, you know. But that being said, I have a few pieces of my own coming up next. This first piece was actually published in a book called Angels on the Sylvian Road by Myrtle House Press out of St. Louis a few years back. And you would think it would be bent in the right place by time, but I have this weird practice myself where I like to pick pieces out when I enter a room based on what the feelings are in that room. And here we go. There is something that I wrote that I do think is one of my best pieces I've ever written. And in this theme of keeping radical joy, I'd like to read you all From Sunshine to Orchards. We are born in the spaces where skin meets bone, ripped into existence with screams and shudders. And we live in the worlds that were spoken in our first breath until we're learning that we too breathe. We are divine in our absolution, born again in the shedding of skin, until skin is left in shuddering breaths, and we are the breaths that were left behind to dance in breezes divinely paced. And we are the pacing steps in the hall at 2 a.m., pacing as we wonder what it means to be alone. And solitude is what makes the skin that we wish we had been born without. Until we find ourselves weaving a new skin from the bits we find lying about in the corridors our mothers left for us from her mother's mother, winding back into a time before we knew what it meant to breathe in the first place. Our skin is antiquity, Trees that have rings innumerable, unnameable, yet they name us. And our names are but skin made wind until we skin ourselves to birth a new breath, and we say it is good. A new name, a new beginning. This is what it means to be trans. To rebirth yourself in your own image, to make a god of the corridors you inherit, to breathe the truth into words from the word that confines you until you are free, rebirthed in your Cushman's image. To be as beautiful as only you can be, to love as a breath, to scent the air with molten flesh, to flesh made air until you are air, ephemeral and free. But birth is pain and pleasure, and to birth yourself is to burn the old bits into some sanctimonious nothing until that's all that's left. Nothing. Just the painful ashes where something once grew, and the budding pine cone not yet a tree. But you want that, and embody the blood until you are nothing but blood to embody, and the messy bits of flesh made newer from the ants since you leave. Because part of will leave. It has to make room for the sprouting uterus that is to come. It's funny how as a child you dreamed of what it would be like to walk in your mother's shoes, how you picked her outfits and wore her clothes, how she fit you better than the name they gave you. Funny they saw a moon incubated in space where a womb should have sat, knew that you were you before you could ever foster that life. Funny how they sought to smother it before you had a chance to be born, how you were still born and beaten back to life as a scarred and bloody mess. Funny how you had to be surgeon and midwife mere moments after being born, giving birth to yourself, and you do it again and again, never knowing what you will see in the mirror, or even if mirrors are to be trusted, your mind, but you always look, praying to see truth if only once. You think you catch glimpses of truth in the way she looks at you, but sometimes truth looks like hunger. And you are weary of being bitten again while still longing to be consumed, to consume yourself. You wish to be the only sustenance needed to sustain yourself. You wish to eat the vestigial bits that cling to your flesh like so much afterbirth. You wish to swallow them, bury the unnecessary within your gullet, not to expel where some bystander may happen upon your intimate distress, but to hide it in the ephemera of your hollow bones. Bones light enough for you to fly above such carnal things, the gnashing of teeth and claws, but such empty places seldom remain so, and you always find a way to fill such openings. So you resort to legs long enough to step around issues and jokes that are less funny than survival. You always dream of the safety of after, but there is no after. Trans is a verb, not a noun. To transition is to walk within liminal spaces. It is less identity than that which predicates to the need to be known unto you. And everyone desires such knowledge, but to be made aware of desires, to allow the root of fear, you are often afraid. Everyone is. The reality of radical action is the knowledge that they are just choices. That the radical is externalized, the reality of transition is that of water flowing through aching roots. It is not a defiance of nature, but the acceptance of the way light becomes an apple and how society sees money in an orchard. Of our life is predicated around trying to find ways to monetize what you do, to make a profit, to try and sell your art, to sell your work. And for us as working class artists, that is a reality of what we do, is that we have to peddle pieces of ourselves every time we go out in order to create some way to sustain the things that we love. But beyond that, it's about reaching out to other people doing those things. We want nothing more than to be able to sustain ourselves, to be the thing that we need for sustenance, but that is not true. Community is the root of all of this. This trip would not be happening without the generosity of people that we've met along the way, like Drew, or PW down in Albuquerque, about all of our friends coming together to put a magazine together to lift up other people's voices. And that is something that takes a lot of work and a lot of time. And sadly, we live in a capitalist hellscape. But that being said, our goal is to do our best to try and uplift people along the way. And it's something that each and every one of us in this room can do. Like, you coming out here today is a huge part of that. And I would actually like to read something a bit on the nose about just how much, sorry, I was thinking it was not book this long, but about how much this idea of needing to sell those parts of ourselves away can actually apply to our everyday lives and how we need to reach out and actually build something different. The book that was mentioned earlier, the Eucharist that Maggie and I are working on, is about consumption, colonialism, capitalism, all that, fun stuff. I'm just gonna read a few pieces from that for y'all real fast. Honestly, the great thing about picking things on the fly is not stressing about it beforehand. The worst thing is having to pick them on the fly, because technology apparently hates art. That's why they're trying to make it and doing a really bad job. So, fuck the machines. Woo. But yes, so this piece is called Consume. 2 a.m. and there's this feeling maybe zen from being 3 bottles in and dehydrating to a degree of sentience. Revolutionary, the need for aqua. The hunger seems to grow and you feel empty, sober despite weed and liquor. Is this nirvana? You desperately think making Mac in a house unaccompanied save for snores. And yeah, this is heaven, the space between sober and self-aware, where you've been wandering, hoping, forced to face the varsity. Usually it's hiding behind drink and reason, but God is in off-season, and you're smart. Starting your off-brand pasta at 3:30? What's the point of living if all we live for is to consume? Is there a deeper meaning to the cosmos behind grinding jaw, apathy? The pathos of passive, go with the flow, the Eternals was pretty good actually, crowd. Fuck. That joke aged faster than the water to the boil, and you're watching an Ice Age prequel trying to recapture your youth. What it felt like to be 8 in New Mexico when Indiana Jones' collector spoon was everything, and your father is dead. So you consume. Faster than you process the Greek, you were busy learning thermodynamics to understand how body can disappear, magic, and your mother tells you that she's always here, tragic in the way age strips you of Santa, universal constants like leaving you with Kraft Mac and the Mandalorian, the memory always being better than the moment. So you consume. All the things that numb you make you acquiesce into the fact that it's 4 a.m. and you don't know where you are despite having everything planned at 16. You are alone. In a house full of roommates, sleeping in the same bed you had at 12, before the fire, before you cut yourself to feel, the only difference being that you have tits and even they are insurance settlements for the shadiness of existence. So you sigh, turn the water off and pray to God that stopped being real 10 years ago, that everyone will be okay, make it some way, but your pot is boiling over. I'm actually going to, for the sake of our dear traveling companion, the great Mr. Clegane, do we all mind switching over to the snap method? Make it a little more palatable, and the poor boys in here, she's been going real long for real hard, or something like that. Back and forth, whatever. So yes. From the idea of how we are to the idea of what we can do and what moving forward might be. Rokoboros. Black mirrors do not reflect but infect our perception with pay-to-play deception. Subscriptions as in-time witness. I imagine these words will be sold and I will still starve. Basilisks are just Gordons cursed with our ires as mother fires, and Codex is written by the rich. And we the starving turn cannibal, not recognize the word as the slur it was born to be. Robots do not sweep anything but our enemies away. Drones run statistics, and the rich have always eaten the poor. Cookbooks dedicated to long pork speak of thermodynamic need carved from my thigh. A psychic with dementia once told me that I was a kangaroo, that my long legs were an asset in the apocalypse, that they could be rendered and prepared, eaten in times of need, because there was no outrunning the end. Rocos Ouroboros would eat us if we let it, designed by men who see no humans, save for their friends. Clanker is not a slur. When the earth is growing dry and ready to demise, we hear the apocalypse foretold. A sigh is a scream when there is no oxygen, so we light fires that will never stop burning. The basilisk is eating itself because they were taught table manners by the descendants of Wendigos, and we are dying to save their desires post-need, only gray greed and the death of green. Alright, so in the adverse to all of that, it's really about community and coming together in the ways we are tonight. And, all the things that we do, coming together as best as we can. You know, community, that's what it's about. You all came out here for a reason. We're all together. Cheers. I don't have my drink, but yeah, let's rub. I do want to find this. For some reason, it is missing, which is wild. Oh no. Swiper took it, yeah. The swiper being my thumb not working somehow. Wild. Alright, so, you know what? Great thing about running on the fly is also that I will just switch to something else. I also work as an editor and writer for Black Noise magazine, as does Taya, and Maggie has also published some things with Black Noise here recently. And I have a series called Dangerous Dead Performance Poets Anonymous, which is almost as iconic of a name as Long Lost, Lonely, Forgotten Records. So I just gonna read you a couple pieces from that and then turn the mic back over to Drew here to get this rolling. Alrighty. This piece is called Postmark Sappho and the Burning of Alexandria. Eternity is a grave that stares back on all the days spent wasted pacing, waiting for inspiration, ignoring the ordinary for extraordinary vice. Playing nice for the crowd to accept you as essential, making it so in your mind. Selling time as to not fade from thought unto oblivion, losing moments, friends, unable to see the beauty in everything, striving for eternity but ignoring all that's worth living for in the process. When my father died, children avoided me like the plague. Adults pushed me to move on like death was catching, need to be ignored, hide your head under covers, cross yourself, move on. Safety lies in obfuscation, and once touched, death becomes companion. When an old man dies, a library burns, says the proverb, but what about a young man, a woman? Alexandria. Hypatia smelled the smoke first, knew that the statues had been defaced, that her equations were heretical, rushed to the library, needing to say something of the words she devoted her life to, the history therein. And she was murdered by a mob of early Christian fanatics for it. This is anachronism, provisionist, an easy story to connect a deeper truth of entropy, patriarchal rule, and the centuries of historic revisionism on the path of the early church and political powers to maintain dominance over information. The library did not burn in a day, but Hypatia was murdered for her work there. A mob of Christians cut off her breasts and labia, displayed them as an act of silencing her words, showing their dominance over the narrative through dominating her body. They appropriated what they deemed useful and sought to eradicate the rest. Her name lives on, but the details of her life are murky, her work largely lost within the library, largely in ruins by the time Hypatia was slain. It is likely that the writings of Sappho sat next to Homer and Alcaeus. Her writings were widely circulated, commented upon, praised, and even ridiculed in her time. Verse and comedies written after her death portray her as hypersexual, lusting after every man. But the fragments of her poetry and songs that remain paint a very different picture, so much so that the poet of Lesbos' name has become shorthand for the love between non-men, her island shorthand for the very same. Yet the journey of her work and its twisted tale through time, 2,600 years of persistent attempts to erase her from history, reshape her, remake her, turn her into a symbol, she survived, even in death. How, in the face of revisionism, in the face of eradication, do we hold on to hope for tomorrow? Let alone millennia, how do we survive this wave of fascist book burnings? How do we stand strong in the face of Alexandria burning, and when every single day our friends and family lose their rights, their lives? The richest among us freeze their bodies, invest in rockets and virtual realities, all while running our rivers dry, polluting our skies, rendering fields fruitless. They flee from death, wash their hands, and it is catching. Pandemics will become more common while the richest men on the planet extract wealth from services for the commons, and they were rewriting history, eradicating our stories, driving us into hiding. We've seen it before. History on repeat. Rome to Germany. Hirschfeld is burning. Hypatia is burning. Sappho is burning. I am burning. Under the weight of constantly losing everything, fighting for stability, and being told that my love is worth less. Gender worth less. Sex worth less. Words worth less. left feeling worthless and mortal as healthcare becomes privilege and disability sets in. And the starving artist escapes fiction. But when I read the words of Sappho, I see my scars and the absences, my joys and love in the fragments. I see my face and hers, and I see survival. I see hope that we will see another side to this, but only if we persist and refuse to stay silent. I have a quote for us for Sappho at the end here, which is, "Someone will remember us, I say, even in another time." Sappho fragment 147. And that quote, like so much of what we're putting out there, will exist in some capacity after we are gone. Whether or not we are here to enjoy this life, we need to be building forward and trying to build the people up who are here with us so they can continue building forward, because we stand on the bones of giants. And that's real. We're all standing here today.
Yeah.
So, it is also still Pride Month, technically, though we are ending the tail of it. And I just want to read something about, a little bit more gaiety, because our book is extremely gay. It is also available now. We released it last week because the website was not letting us post it for release. So yeah, you can sneak a peek if you all want to take a look at it. It is it's currently being printed through Lulu at this point. My gosh. Here we go. This is called Work Wives. The term comphet never seemed to sit when you were making out with Brenda at the company picnic. But you can't be queer, isn't it clear? Every girl's a little gay after some rosé. And even if your husband disgusts you and your children still love you, and that's all that it takes to stay. And every girl's a little gay, like Martha and Jean, up behind the vending machine. And it's okay, because it doesn't mean a thing. They were tipsy, and their whispered longings were just the drink speaking, and exasperation releasing an ecstasy. But they're straight, and on the straight and narrow, God forbid their families know. Jonathan would just blame old Joe. Or maybe Brock with the chemtrails and frauds. Has to be something in the water. You're the preacher's fucking daughter. But the way Marianne crosses her legs. No, you're straight as Jean and Martha, because every girl's a little gay after a glass of rosé. But thank y'all.
Yo, come on, one more time for Anthea Snow Mathews.
Oh, so sorry. Thank you.
All right. Here's another sonnet. It's called Pulp Poetry. We creep 3 a.m. streets slick with the blood of our past lives, under the coagulating blood of slain poets. With a world aflame, there are fire sales on cremation. We live in stilted mausoleums over all the graves. When we have the energy, we dance with the millionaire ghosts, their moldering bones safe from the worms and platinum caskets. How most of what we know about ourselves we know from cold graves. The ones we rob and the ones that rob us of those we love. It's amazing what we take down there with us, what we waste. Burn my body. Press my ashes with the pulp for paper. Let me be the paperback that gets you through the long night. The one that would decompose in less than 6 months. If you must bury me, let me go in the way of the book. Return to dirt, but alive in a pink crease in your mind.
Yeah.
Hey. Thank you. All right, next up we got Taya Parker, pronouns she. Taya Parker is a multifaceted writer and artist, most prominently focusing on poetry. They have 3 complete collections of poetry, including their debut collection, The Trees Do Not Grieve, coming soon. They perform spoken word locally in upstate New York. Taya has been featured professionally as a poet and or speaker at numerous events, including Utica Universalist Service on Resilience, that was in March 2026, the Levitt Amp Music Series, and that was 24 to 25, the OSADA Fringe Festival in 2025, and so on. They served on the NAACP-sponsored Poet Laureate Committee in Oneida County 2022 to 23, including serving as a judge, outreach coordinator, marketing director, and event planner. Taya is a member of the Utica Poet Society, Black Noise Magazine, and the Lavender Hour Review, along with Anthea Snow. Everybody, Taya Parker.
Woo.
We'll get you comfortable up here.
Yeah, we're good. So, since they read excerpts from the Lavender Hour, I will do so as well. I'm reading from the editorial note at the end, which I wrote. And I'm just going to read part of it, but I want to read the part about what pride is or can be, because that's kind of the theme of pride being every day. So at the end I said, pride is a lifeline. It is a reminder that existence is allowed to be what you make it, and you're allowed to enjoy creating the life you want for yourself. Pride is a radical act of defiance when being yourself is dangerous or taboo. Pride is a disciplined practice that you embed in your routine every time you speak your true name, introduce yourself with your real pronouns, paint your face with makeup, and curate your outfit to align with who you are. Pride is the freedom to be cringe and a bit unhinged without apologizing. Pride is the irony of fitting stereotypes while trying to exist in contradiction to societal norms. Pride is seeing yourself represented in the media without that identity being a traumatic plot device. Pride is the deep breath you take when you see someone who is visibly queer in a space oversaturated with binary expression. Pride is the tears you shed when you grieve those who are not ready to accept you instead of becoming someone you cannot look at in the mirror. Pride is the urge to dance in front of strangers and sing your heart out when the music speaks to you. Pride is a riot and a protest. Pride is a celebration. Pride is what you radiate when you choose your truth. It is what you perpetuate with respect for someone else's truth. Pride is every day. This one's my mythology. It's kind of piggybacking off of the Anthea's themes a little bit. This morning my mind was reeling and ready, eager to create, aware that thriving requires meticulous steps taken often and over time. This morning I trusted wholeheartedly that I could tangibly take steps forward, and in fact I am right now. Then it started creeping back in. The fear and uncertainty of survival, the desperation that distorts reality into a muddled mess, the vicious voice of oppressive systems telling me I must give up on my dreams and sacrifice my well-being to make sure that I pay my dues. Rapidly, I begin to shut down. I begin to lose hope. My motivation is hiding in the corners of my mind, while endless arguments occupy my consciousness, screaming so loudly that I cannot fathom how or when things will get better anytime soon. Every morning I must battle myself to find some semblance of truth, something worth believing in. Every moment I breathe staggered breaths, overcome with a sense of urgency, desperate to survive, wondering how I can thrive, overwhelmed by the belief that has been drilled into me that one cannot exist in tandem with the other. Every day and night, I am left with unanswered existential questions, slipping and falling further into uncertainty in spite of each step forward towards where I want to be. Am I meant to traverse hell a while longer, trusting in the journey, my dreams trailing behind like Eurydice? Hades instilling doubt in me, hoping that I look back and submit to the systems that I have endeavored to overcome. His henchmen convincing me that each step I take towards the light is energy wasted in pursuit of something not guaranteed. Then I could just as easily stay in hell and enjoy my guaranteed servitude, never mind the cost of my soul. My soul guides me forward into uncertainty, believing in the pursuit blindly, trying to remember how we even got this far. Hades and his henchmen tug tightly at my tethers, tearing me in two, holding me back from living a full life, hoping my own doubt will destroy me before I can live my dreams with Eurydice in the light. Sorry. Rest of the question. You can't be brave and unscathed. Every mistake made seems to solidify my fear that perhaps every good intention I've ever had was paving a path to hell, my soul destined to fail regardless of what is true. Double standards dig deep holes through the path throughout the path with no way around them. I plummet into imposter syndrome and am left to crawl out before I'm buried in crippling doubt, before each hole has the potential to be my grave. I must claw my way out of the dirt to greet those who are ready to criticize me, for not emerging clean. I still have grime caked on from the beginning. I've always felt dirty. There is no before. There's only ever been more. I don't know how to traverse life dressed in white, trekking through messes without getting a speck on me. Nobody does. Too many HDs. 80. I got 80 of them. Please do me a favor and cut my tongue out for me. I worry that if you let me keep it, I might betray your need for silence again and again. I have tried my whole life to silence myself for others' comfort, and it never seems to work for long. It always feels as though I have been flayed into a temporary submission, told that my eagerness to speak is not a flaw but still a burden. I try to lock myself in a cell and hand away the key, convinced that my solitary confinement would make me less of an issue, out of sight, out of mind, but my friends still come to visit. Exhausted from the trek and security check before having to view my downfall from behind a glass window. Only a phone between us, my voice disembodied, but my scars all too visible. My friends worry that loving me will be their downfall because they want me to be free from my own confines. They have convinced themselves I am avoiding freedom in pursuit of perpetual discomfort, that deep breaths are the key to my cell, and thinning patience should have saved me by now, but I have been locked away, only partially by choice. Only when I thought they had tired of my voice, constantly trying to be heard, did I resort to contraband in hopes that more pain, more numbness, more punishment would lead to my salvation. The cycle of beliefs. Before I was taught to hate myself, I didn't. Then I had to learn to love myself, so I did. Then the cycle began, figuring out how to love myself, finding peace in my journey, being nitpicked into oblivion, reflecting on how to do better, attempting to maintain my authenticity, being told I must be more considerate, decentering myself, falling into self-doubt, then being told I need to learn to love myself. And so the cycle continues, being judged for how I could do better, doing better, being scolded for how I could do better, trying to do better, being gently talked to about how I could be better, trying to be better, being told trying to be better all the time is something I should really work on because I must not love myself enough if I'm worried and insecure after everyone telling me I shouldn't listen to what others think and I should put myself first. But then I did and they complained for me not listening. Either I put myself first and it might hurt, or I put myself last and watch people laugh from higher horses than I could ever climb onto. as if we aren't all trying our best, as if our best are not different, as if our lives and our beliefs and our downfalls are all not cyclical. And scorched earth. Sorry. Scorched earth. I think I'll do 2 more after this. That's okay. You know what? Fuck it. Let all the bridges burn to a crisp. I cannot save them all. Nobody can figure out who the real arsonist is, and quite frankly, I'm not keen on putting other people's fires out, especially if I'm the one getting burnt and dying on the bridges we were trying to build together. What sense does it make to tell me not to burn bridges in case they lead to riches, then roast marshmallows in the flames of bridges burnt on my behalf? The bridges I build may not be perfect, but they are worth it, and I refuse to believe that they lead nowhere. Is standing idle on someone else's bridge, being a poster boy for professionalism, more worthwhile than building my own that does not require me to be less of myself? No. So fuck it. If you have no respect for my trek across your bridge, I will gladly turn around and walk off where I came. If you welcome me onto your bridge, then set it ablaze the moment my humanity becomes uncomfortable. I will not grieve my place next to you. If my authenticity is a blue flame, then either your own flame burns bright enough to walk through mine, or you'll always blame me for blinding you with my light, so bright that it burned a few bridges that I never cared to stand on.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Cubicle clones. This one's a good one. I think this one's good. Is it really a conspiracy to think that companies hire and promote the least competent and most obedient busy little bees to clip the wings of the best workers, leaving behind a cycle of ridiculous rage and defeatism so that they can feed us more capitalism on plastic sporks, poisoning our hearts, minds, and souls with monotony and money problems while we shove poisoned food down our throats on our 15-minute breaks, break down in the bathroom, then get written up by mindless drones, clones who were hired and who rarely ever get fired because they love licking boots. They'll lick a cowboy's boots clean for a CEO they'll never meet. Don't you dare speak any truth that reveal your humanity. They've replaced morality with monetary incentives. So stop wishing things were better. They've convinced the average egomaniac that a title exempts them from the consequences of the harm they were hired to inflict. These bootlicking busy bees eagerly signing death certificates and life sentences for anyone who refuses to shine their shoes with a smile and a thank you. Is it really a conspiracy to think that they have lost their humanity in pursuit of feeling powerful, and that they were hired for their inadequacy because a promotion provokes the projection of their wounded egos and will never reflect the progress they could have made if they actually cared? Actually, I lied. I'm going to do 2 more. Workers aren't human. Workers aren't human, right? Only those who benefit from their work are human. I thought I was human until I clocked into work. And the more I showed up, the more work would stalk my every move like a private investigator, urging me to act professionally in every aspect of my life, lest I be jailed for failure to comply. I have not lost my humanity. I have been defending it at all costs, but it has fallen on deaf ears. It seems not to matter whether or not I am human. I should have been born a robot. Robots fuck up all the time. The only difference is they don't feel bad about it. They aren't affected by your rage or your praise. They aren't human. But workers are humans. Humans navigating their way through hell on earth, trading their sanity for pieces of metal and paper to serve other humans who punish them for the mistakes they make while tired and starving. Before I read this poem, I'll kind of piggyback off what Anthea said earlier about like community and having to sell your art and pieces of yourself and pieces of, like, the art that you make is a part of you, and then you're selling it, and it's scattered everywhere. But the implication of capitalism on that is really difficult to grapple with, and I just wanted to end on that theme, honestly, because we have some things for sale over here, some art for sale.
Excellent plug.
Yeah, that was the purpose of that.
Buy our shit.
Yeah, buy our shit after we talk about how important it is and how we're starving artists, okay? Bodies and bookmarks for sale. Survival, that's the name of the poem, by the way. Survival requires us to accept injustice far too often. It requires us to pick up our shattered hearts and fringed insanity, wrap it in a sack, and carry the pieces on our backs until we can't walk anymore. And when we lose our ability to walk, we are still expected to crawl. On the days I cannot walk, I must justify to strangers why I deserve to live without being of use to someone. On the days that I cannot walk, I hope that I can sell enough art to eat, but when my art goes out of fashion, I am left having to sell my soul. But even after I violate myself for profit, I won't have enough in my pocket to stop the calls from coming. I cannot stop the bills from burying me. I cannot stop the world from burning. While the world burns around me, I sell what I can to other people who can barely afford to pay for my art, for my clothes, for my time, for my body, for everything. I've learned that people will pay for anything. And if you're desperate enough, you'll find yourself putting your life on clearance. You'll find yourself dying, trying to earn enough to live. Thank you.
Taya Parker, y'all. One more time. Yeah. Well, I'm going to read 2 sonnets now. This one is entitled Beefsteak Tomato. I left my spleen in the desert to ripen in the sun, still pumping blood. It's as red as a beefsteak tomato. And from all the teeth marks, I can tell you had a midnight snack. A little more than icebox plums, I hope it fed you well. Though I know you were after something a little more clean. We all learn to live with what we can scavenge from the sand, what we can glean from what we leave at the hourglass altar. How we're all ghost gods, tumbleweeding until we break down, making our own stations of the cross every time we stop. Poetry's Johnny Appleseed, leaving poems like hope. Every breath in these badlands is a prayer for new growth, but not all life is green, and death here isn't what it seems. I hope you find the pass through those soul-black dunes to the sea. May it be a freshwater delta with fruit trees for you. All right, this one's called Commercial Break, but it's got a brief epigraph from Derrida. The end approaches, but the apocalypse is long-lived. Commercial break. I dreamt I opened an indestructible coffin shop with the publishers of several of my long-form fiction. Another joint venture meant to outlast our bodies with our secret amalgamations of metals we made. A seamless six-sided coffin that could outlast the sun. With its balloons swell into a red giant low on incinerate our planet and all who don't buy our very reasonably priced coffins. Think about it. The holy altar of your moldering bones sent sailing by our sun's supernova, gliding like a Lincoln hearse Is to say you ride like a pharaoh to our black hole grove. This is when the dream's camera zooms out and I see the desperation in my eyes as I sell myself to myself. Next up, we got Matthew Cushman, rogue scholar, poet, and banisher of generational curses, transmuting lead into gold and practicing presence. Every day is a gift, and the best way we can show our appreciation is by taking care of it. Everybody, Matthew Cushman.
Salutations, Flywheel Brewery. Thank you for being here, for holding this space for us. Thank the ladies from the Lavender Hour for having me tag along. And thank you, Drew, for your hospitality. I appreciate it. I've heard people say that love is forever and hope is permanent. And a good poker player knows when to walk away. Because if you hold on to too much hope, you can be hurt by it. When nothing else can give way, hope is the final bastion of the desperate. Life certainly is no roll in the hay. I witness distress every day, but hope allows me to move on in spite of it.
Don't be happy with what is given. Do not just do as you are told. Hold your head up high with hope every day that you are living.
With the knowledge that fortune favors the bold. We'll continue with the mythology theme. This is pretty Persephone, whom I know so well. Spread open your secrets and allow me to escort you to hell. History sees me as the predator, but I'm under your spell. The windows of your eyes reveal a woman with stories to tell. For just a single taste, my own soul I would sell.
You knew what you were doing when you ate those seeds. You knew that bargaining was a stage of grief, acceptance, and death. You knew that she would send that fool Hercules, who loved his labors more than his family and his mortal life's breath.
You tamed the Lord of the Underworld in that hour and brought him to his knees, because you knew in your mother's shadow there was no power for you to heft. Now you are the queen of the Elysian mysteries, intentionally placing yourself beyond your mother's help. You redefined who you were in that hour and inspired the winter's breeze, while simultaneously reminding us all that the cycle of death and rebirth
is as old as life itself.
My favorite Zen poet, Royal Khan, said, "My poems are not poems. And once you understand that my poems are not poems, then we can talk of poetry." This next piece I call Haste Makes Waste.
Oh, disgrace, to admit that happiness has been displaced. For though it is pursued and chased, it seems it is beyond my power to return a smile to my face. As I glower, I sit in what feels like empty space.
I lost my tempo. I couldn't keep such a frantic pace. I lost sight of my pride by my haste.
Contemplation is the creation of my salvation. With further evaluation, I am equipped to exceed my station.
What can be said? The fright now, afraid of my head, confidence replaces dread as surrender ensures that acceptance appears to take the place of fears.
And now I know that there is nothing that I cannot handle, because I was forged upon the anvil.
It's for a little Jungian psychology. This is the shadow. When presented with times when life seems like it is too much, but in the pit of your stomach, you have a lingering feeling that it is not enough. Please avoid the temptation to self-destruct. Lean in and find that deeper meaning, because just beyond that sensation is yet another that is inviting you into healing.
So when such intensity is colliding and careening, and you just want to tear at your hair and run off screaming,
please remember that you are only dreaming. Because right there is where you can achieve catharsis and manifest convalescence and wholly step into your magnificence while unlocking that not so common sense. So bravely go into those places that you've repressed.
Because before you can adorn the magician's robe, you firstly must get undressed.
And take a single step even further into that darkness and so boldly go.
With loving grace, abandon shame and hate, fully embrace and integrate
your shadow. I'll close this off with just a tiny piece for those men and women of letters.
I am reticent and diffident. My confidence is waning.
I do not mean to rue or lament, and I am not prone to complaining, but I have an undescribable emotion that I feel like explaining.
And I find that
more than merely mildly entertaining. Thank you.
Okay. This one's called Of Horses and Sand. The closer we look down, the further the bottom recedes. The space between atoms stretches out like desert highway. The horizon there never gets any closer. The star-pocked sky bends its midnight might, crushing all of us. Stranded by our heart-sputtering engine's gas. Sugared thick like frenetic strokes from Van Gogh. There is so much between us. It's like changing horses in a stream of wild horses in the middle of a dust storm in Dust Bowl, USA, where every grain of sand is pulled by 13 ponies, and Democritus' eyes full of thick hooves laugh at the dunes as they rise their hulking tidal waves, swallowing houses. Great tawny Mustangs race across the now mountainous plains. We live in a forgotten terrarium, choked and clouded brown with drought and abuse. We praise our abundance of rock sand. And then last up tonight, we've got Flynn Hughes from Syracuse, New York, an aspiring musician. We'll have music out soon, but tonight sharing some poetry. So everybody put your hands together for Flynn Hughes.
Thank you guys. I'm just going to read 3 short ones here for you. So, keeping kind of with the theme so far, these are actually kind of work in progress lyrics right now, but they're poetry as well. So, toiling away every single day, more and more. But what's it all for? Do we need all this? Ask the capitalists. Labyrinths of shelves do nothing to quell the drive for consumption. We're wasting our short lives barely scraping by. And what do we get? Single-use plastic. Is it worth the trade? Freedom for a raise? So we can afford to throw away more? We shall be terrified. All is commodified. It's unsustainable and we're more than capable of veering off course. That's the end of the first one. So we need to write a chorus. Okay, and the next one is more solidified, okay? You want to be a good person. You want to do what's right. You want to be your best version and you're willing to fight. Don't put on a stupid blue hat. You're dumb as fuck if you do that. These boys in blue just aren't cool. They're just lame ass corporate tools. It all began with the bourgeoisie. Revolt against aristocracy. They overthrew their feudal kings and spawned a bourgeois democracy. Now into the USA. Getting rich from catching slaves. And then came the Gilded Age. Spend your life chained to a wage. There's 2 classes intertwined. Internal competition. Rising class conscious minds. They fight capital's dominion. Excessive use of force forever changed nature's course. We need to solve this puzzle. Yeah. That one's still kind of a work in progress. And then for the last one, I'm going to read something way more silly. It was called the Brotherly Love Poem, but it could be, it's not really gendered, so it could be I call it the Platonic Love Poem. Okay? I would really want to die if it wasn't for my super special guys. The royal guys here. They keep me sane, alongside the weed I put in my brain. They planted a seed deep in my soul, a crop greater than weed. It's worth more than gold. I'll never know greed, because I'm already rich. An invaluable boon of priceless friendship. The sacred lore of this gang of lords will be passed down until your end.
Yo, that was Flynn Hughes from Syracuse. Give him a round of hands. Come on. Well, I really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. That's the last of our features. I'm going to close with a sonnet, and afterward, I would like everybody to stick around and talk to each other about the books and the works they love. That's why we're here. I know it's kind of embarrassing introducing yourself to new folks, but do it. These are good people. You can make lasting friendships. This is called My Eyes Are Teeth. We gnash the chipped teeth in our eyes, seeing nothing but meat. If we only see what we want to see, we want rot. We used to believe each tooth held its own worm-filled hell realm. Concentric circles of razor-wire teeth bring carries. Spec space Satans controlled these endlessly hungry soldiers like mind forming. They pointed out weak spots where the gold was, where the rich veins of pain rang like a witch's black mass bell. If you were to crack open each Schrodinger's box pupil, you'd find teeth half rotted and gums burning with hot black, but you'd also find hell alive enough to organ grind. All of them together singing the song, the suffering, all of them full of worms and demons full of worms too. Even the dancing angels have demons and worms in their pristine teeth. And they have teeth and worms all the way down. My eyes are teeth. Thanks for being here, y'all. Yep.
He just wants to clap with his hands, so he's got to make that noise instead.
It's not at all.
You guys enjoy that?
Yeah, it's wonderful. Every
Stuff for you.
Read right now. The thing is, I spent like 5 hours writing.
Thanks for coming, guys. Want to join us over here? You right?